Hi, Instagram fam. Welcome to today's live. We're just waiting to get Facebook online as well. If you're just joining us, today we're going to be talking about SOPs, a little bit more delving into what an SOP should include, and kind of how you should go about the process of creating SOPs. All right, I think we got Facebook on here with us. So thank y'all again. Welcome. Thanks for joining. We love to talk about all things SOPs, standard operating procedures, or basically instructions for how to do a certain process. So you might be wondering, how should an SOP actually be formatted? So I use a little process called the 7Ps. All of the portions of our SOP actually start with the letter P, and so it just kind of works. And I'll break that down for you. So basically, every SOP should be formatted in the same way. It should be cohesive. It shouldn't be a random document here and formatted a different way and somewhere else. That is confusing to the users, and things end up getting lost and filed in different places and then never used again because it's not cohesive, it's not together. So that's step number one. But the first thing that you're going to actually document is what the SOP is, the name of the SOP, what you're actually accomplishing with this document. So it's going to be how to whatever, or process in software, or how to do client onboard, whatever it is. It's going to be the name of the SOP. And then you're going to actually start talking about what you're doing with these features. So I like to include the prerequisites, which is basically the information, training, software, etc., that are needed to actually complete this procedure. And if there are other SOPs that actually tie in to complete a certain SOP or the steps within, then I would link that within the document. Then you want to include the purpose. So why are we doing this? What's the functional purpose of it? What's it going to accomplish? Why is it meaningful? And how is it going to contribute to the business in the long term? It doesn't have to be lengthy, the explanation, but we do want to know why. Then we want to describe the policy. So say that this is something that needs to be done every Monday at 8 a.m., then that's going to be the policy. Or every time a new client is onboarded, that's going to be the policy, etc. The party is the actual person who is responsible for executing the SOP, so doing these steps. And the property is the person that is responsible for managing this information. So if the party has questions, they will bring those questions to property, the person who is named under property. And then you actually, under process, you want to outline like just the skeleton of what the process is going to look like. It's just kind of big picture. So it's not getting all into the nitty gritty of the details. It's just one-liners for what the parts of the process are. Then once you get into procedure, that's really where you get down into the details. So what you named for the process, part one, that's what's going to be the first portion, part one. Then you're going to actually describe what those steps are. You might have sub-steps and bullet points and other information that you tie in, anything like that. A lot of times people will use images as well to make it very clear, like where somebody needs to click, and you circle it, draw an arrow, etc. Those can all be embedded within the SOPs. And at the end of every document, you also want to say who created it, what department it's for, what date it was created, and then you want to leave a place for who revised it and what date it was revised. SOPs need to be updated. Again, this is not just a one and done. These need to be kept up to date, and really even seeing, are we still using the software? Are we still doing this process? And just making sure that if you were to hire somebody tomorrow and hand them this SOP, that they could be successful in whatever task that you hand to them. So that's kind of the rundown of what an SOP template would include. Again, it could be that if you have a very small team, it might just be that your virtual assistant is currently responsible for actually executing these SOPs and getting them created. Or if you have a much larger team, it might be by department. For example, if this is like an editorial calendar SOP, and it makes the most sense for somebody in the marketing department to be responsible for building their own SOPs and somebody in the sales department to be responsible for building their SOPs, that makes the most sense. That they're going to be the person with the most direction and the most understanding of what the task includes. But again, if you're starting small, then you can use somebody such as your virtual assistant. your ops manager, perhaps an OBM on the team that's skilled in operations to be able to create the best SOP for your team and for your growing business. Some people love to document these things also in something called Process Street. So that's a really great software to look into. I currently still just use Google Drive. I keep it simple. And then I link those actual documents into my project management tool, ClickUp. A different day, we'll talk about how that works and why I do that, why that's important. But Process Street is a popular software to use. And then something else that's been really popular is a Chrome extension called Tango. And it actually takes screenshots as you're going through your actual process. So it's kind of recording by screenshots your process. It has to be tweaked a little bit, I think, but it really does shorten the time in creating your SOP. So especially if you don't have assistance in doing them, I would recommend using something like Tango to at least get a jump start on building your SOP manual. All right, so I believe that's all we were going to discuss today. If you have any questions about SOPs and about how to build your SOP manual, or if you need a consultation about if you're doing it right, or if you need assistance about maybe building out your own SOP manual, send me a DM, ask me a question down below in the comments, and I'm always happy to talk about SOPs. Again, my love language. All right, have a fabulous Friday. Have a great weekend. Let me know what you're doing this weekend. I love to hear about that. And we'll see you next week. Bye.